Hello and welcome to Charlotte's Web, Chris Thrall.
Charlotte, how we doing?
Nice to see you. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Yes, like I said, congratulations on your show. That's amazing. It's a bit long overdue, isn't it?
Well, yeah, to be honest, so many people have been saying when you're starting your own show, I'm like, oh, no, I'm behind the scenes. I'm just a bit of a gobshite on Twitter, maybe. And but I'm really enjoying the episodes that I've made so far. So thank you for joining. I think this is episode 9, I think. So welcome.
9, number of human consciousness.
There you are. There you are. So I first came across you, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on the year, but maybe 2021, perhaps. Is that when you did the interview with Robbie Williams?
Yeah, I was about 22 then, wasn't I?
22 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you're a very, very impressive person. I met you in the flesh as well. But just for people who don't know about you, do you want to give us a bit of a background?
Gosh. Do you want a brief?
It's a long one. I can say former Royal Marine Commando, motivational speaker, extreme adventurer. The list goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the main thing to take away, Charlotte, is, people gloss over this because they don't get it. And that's fine because life is a journey for all of us, right? But when you hear people say it's a spiritual battle, that's not just like a hippy dippy add-on.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. There's a way to, we call it a battle. It's really, life put loads of layers on you, doesn't it? From school, programming, indoctrination, the lies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I'll be careful what I say because I understand the platforms that we're on. But when people, let's say their well-being is suffering and they got stuff pouring out their nose and they got their hanky out and they blame it on someone else, it's like spiritual. You get way past that.
I get what you mean.
You got to get way past victim psychology, and that's what's put on us as kids. So the thing that I most kind of do and think about and try to get across on my YouTube channel is, what is it? And it's essentially energy, vibration, and frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't grasp it, the psychopaths, and there's a lot of them in the world, they're just going to keep playing us, and they're going to hide behind their new world order, hide behind their they call it the fake state, and keep pushing the buttons and keep blackmailing and keep gaslighting and keep getting our,
keep manipulating.
Yeah, our flaky, cross-dressing, rent boy renting politicians to take us into another war, and the public will just rah rah rah. Let's go and send our teenagers off to kill other teenagers because that's going to be a great result, So yeah, that's what I'd say.
So, well, how did you get from being Royal Marine Commando to having that mindset? And I know it's a long journey, and there's probably a lot to say, but go for it.
So I'll try and do long story short. I was dying of drug addiction. So I got to a point in my life, Charlotte, where I couldn't go any lower. I'd had various run-ins. At one point, I was homeless on the streets of Hong Kong, working as a nightclub doorman for the 14K, who were one of Hong Kong's most notorious triad families, whilst phasing in and out of clinical psychosis. So quote unquote madness. And that was the fun side of it, believe it or not. It got really dark. I came back to the UK, and it was and I'm just going to say it was, I don't believe in bad experiences. I just believe in experience, and I wouldn't change any of mine. When you meet my little one, he's only 10 years old. It's like God created an angel and then for some reason gave him to me.
Oh, that's lovely.
And when I look at him, Charlotte, I know that I've done everything right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't
So
know you had a son.
yeah, absolute little legend. I went on Amazon Prime the other day. I was trying to order something for my brother, and I said, "Don't worry, I'll do it." And I got my Amazon Prime account up. Bear in mind, he's 10 years old. It said, "Hello, piss." So I showed it to my brother. I said, "Look," and then I clicked on the profile, and the reason it was saying "Hello, piss" is he changed my profile to "Piss off, Daddy."
So I'm going
I
to say
was
Chris Thrall.
I was like, "Oh, that's my boy."
Oh, love that. Love that.
But
Oh,
so yeah, it got really dark, Charlotte. I can't really explain enough. I was, injecting drugs up to 12 times a day just to fight the chronic depression that had enveloped me, and I didn't understand any of it because nobody knew about mental. No one talked about mental. I didn't know what anxiety was, and never heard. I
what
heard the
year
word.
was this? What year? Around what
This
year?
was I left the Marines in 95, so I'd have come back from Hong Kong. This would have been about 97-ish.
Okay.
Actually 98. And at one point, I was so low, I used to have to shoplift my food because all my money went on the gear, on amphetamines, basically. And so I was so addicted. I couldn't manage the money. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't go, oh, you've got to feed yourself for a fortnight, Chris, when this is gone. I only got 80 quid benefit money a fortnight or something like that. And so I used to go and shoplift food, and I was so naive. I'd shoplift the supermarket own brand. It's like as
Quick
if I was
save, no frills.
yeah, like I'm doing them a favor or something, right? But and I'd shoplift 4 bars of chocolate and a jar of Bovril because there's no way I could afford that. The rest of my money, which was, I remember counting it once, £1.67. I'd get the cheap no frills porridge, the cheap no frills pasta, a tub of 16p margarine, and as much milk as I could, 2 liters of milk or whatever. And I'd put the porridge and pasta in the microwave, chuck on 20 spoons of sugar, put as much margarine as I could afford to last me till the next time, and then I'd eat it like a wild animal. I'd be, I wouldn't sleep for up to 9 days, and I wouldn't eat in that time. And when you come out of that, you're absolutely ravenous. And anyway, cut long story short, I woke up one day, I was shivering on the front room of the floor of the front room, where I just collapsed unconscious, from a mega binge. And I was shivering, freezing cold, starving. And I wanted to go out the house and go and get a pasty from the shop. And fortunately, on this come down, I had just enough money, right? But I could hear the kids kicking the football around outside. They'd always kick the football around outside my house because they knew I was the only adult in the street that wouldn't go and shout at them, right? In fact, I knew if I went out the house, they'd be like, Chris, come on, play football with us. Come on. And I felt so out of sorts, Charlotte. Do you know what I mean? I was like a million miles away from this. And I looked at the clothes I was wearing. They were clothes I'd stolen off a heroin dealer up in North Devon. My shoes made me look like Pluto in Walt Disney because they were 2 sizes too big. It was, think Train Spotting, right? But worse. And I tell you why. In Train Spotting, they had a good slick operation, didn't they? They had it all sorted. I was nothing like, I was shivering, freezing, starving, chronically depressed when I couldn't, be high. And in that moment, I think this is probably nervous breakdown number 3. I I just thought, Chris, what have you done to yourself? What have you done to yourself? And it was the first time, Charlotte, I had the realization that the self-reflection, I've done this. No one else, you know, you can blame your parents, you can blame the, you know, teachers, a lot of abuse in the 70s, you know, you don't develop a chronic drug addiction and nearly die for no reason, Charlotte, as I'm sure you know. It's just emblematic of a highly traumatized childhood. And we talk about childhood trauma all the time, don't we? And the MK Ultra, and you know, it's incredibly strong programming. And again, trying to cut a long story short, I broke down. I broke down. I thought, you know, I used to be a fit, strong, handsome Marine, used to drive a virtually brand new BMW. I had a mobile phone when people used to go, "What's that?" And I'd have to explain, "Oh, it's a phone," right? And I know this is all materialistic shit. I say this.
Well, it's important, I get it.
But you know, at least I had that materialistic shit. Now I had nothing. I was living in a hovel. I smashed everything up I own, not intentionally. It just, everything went away at a pair. And then I started thinking of that, you know, that little boy, the little me. I was saying this to Sheep Farm the other day. You know, your dad is driving you 300 miles up north from the south where we lived in his little minivan, his works van. And your mum's run off again. She's gone to live with your grandma. So your dad's he's had his orders to pick you up from school, drop you up there. You already had one, like, you know, you know, your emotions all over the place. My hobby was fishing, Charlotte, right? I didn't know if I could take my fishing rod with me, or whether they'd even have rivers up in the north. Do you know what I mean? And that's not nice when you're like 6 or 7 years old. And anyway, I can suss what's going on. My sister was a bit more, she wasn't so much like on it as I was, and she just thinks of it as, oh, we're going on holiday again or something, right? And I'm like, no, I'm never going to see my dad again. And in the stereo came on in the car. My sister had a little tape player. She used to play her tapes, and it was ABBA, and it was "Breaking Up Is Never Easy," and right. And my sister goes, "Oh, this song's about you and Mummy, Daddy."
Oh no!
And I remember watching my dad cry. I'm watching him in the wing mirror, and he's crying, you know. And we got up north, and my sister jumps out the car. She said, "Oh, I can't wait to see Mummy and Grandma." And off she goes. I'm there. I don't want to move off the pavement because I know it's the last time I'm ever going to see my dad again, you know. And my dad comes out, grabs our luggage, just dumps it on the pavement. And then for the first time ever, he's only ever gave me two hugs in his life. The first time ever, he put his arms around me and he said, "I love you so much, son, but I can't be with you." And he jumped in the van. He just driven 300 odd miles. He just jumped straight in the van and just drove off. And I'm waving, and I can see him. He's waving out the window, and I can just see him crying his eyes out in the mirror. And, you know, that's the stuff I can tell you that went on. Do you know what I mean? It got way darker than that, but I'll save that for when I see him in person, and that'll give you something to look forward to. So I'm there in my front room, shivering and shaking, just crying my eyes out, and I'm thinking of that poor little boy, you know. And I'm like, Chris, who's abusing that little boy now? It's fucking you, mate. You're the one shoving needle, you know. It's you. You got to get a grip. And you know, in that moment, I thought, do you know, it wouldn't actually be a bad thing making some changes, because this isn't fun anymore. You know, I mean, it wasn't fun for about a year now. It was me kidding myself that by getting, you know, high above what I thought was, well, I just liked being high, but it just wasn't work. It was creating so much problems. And anyway, cut long story short, I did 3 things, and this is fundamental for anyone seeking enlightenment. I forgave the past and everybody in it, and I, instead of being angry and bitter and resentful to people, I was grateful for the lessons I learned off them, and I just let it go, and I never thought about it ever again, other than, you know, occasional happy memory or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I said, let's start being grateful. A lot of my commando buddies were dead by this stage through horrible misadventure, you could say. We had a couple killed surfing on a train in Thailand, and it went under a
Oh dear.
bridge. One mate of mine got killed running away from the police. He jumped off. He was on a night out, and rather than get busted for scrapping, he did a runner, ran across the roof of this building, jumped off, and landed on a spike fence. Chap I shared a room with in Northern Ireland, Dave, rest in peace. He gassed himself when we got back. The chap that I was on guard duty with one day when our company come under fire, Simo, we got back, and he was joining the A38 on his motorbike, and he got wiped out.
Right.
You know, lots of people. We had one lad shot dead in I think it was the second week in the Northern Ireland conflict. And I thought, do you know what would they give to be here now if they can have a second chance? Would they be here shoving drugs in themselves, or would they be like, fuck yeah, let's get in there and smash it, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought, what do I want? Do I want this life or not? And the answer was, yeah, I love it. You know, it's a good opportunity. It's a crazy thing at times, isn't it? But it is still amazing, whatever the hell it is. And inadvertently, I didn't know what I was doing. So I was leaving the past behind. That's called presence, mindfulness, living in the moment and not getting stressed about the future or the past. I was being grateful. If you're grateful for life, then everything's perfect because it's the way it's meant to be. And you overcome challenges. So you do to life, you don't let life do to you. And that's a massive fundamental paradigm and life shift. And the third thing I thought was, look, I'm never going to be an angel. I'm never going to be going to church or going to, you know, recovery meetings or anything. Not that, you know, people want to go recovery meetings. That's fine. But I just knew that was never going to be for me. So I thought, you got to do it yourself, Chris. So start cutting down. And that was it. And once I'd made that, I'd made like a covenant, I thought, with myself. Now I understand I was making it with something much bigger than me, wasn't I? You know, I was the first time in my life, I was tuning into the divine, which I'd never done, because life brainwashes you that you're this little greedy materialistic individual. It's all about you, how much money you can get, how clever you were at school, what car you drive, and all. And I was starting to realize, you know, there's something bigger going on here. And I woke up the next day on this mega come down, and ordinarily where I'd just roll over and I'd sleep for maybe 3 days, you know, and only get up because I'd be so starving or so thirsty. I thought, no, you promised yourself, get up, Marine. And I got up, I threw the curtains open. I said, morning, son. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity called life. I won't ruin it. And then I thought, you know what? I'll stick with that thing. I'm not going to go and buy any more stuff. I'm going to have a nice cup of tea, and I'm going to enjoy just having a cup of tea. And Charlotte, I swear on my life, as I turned to walk to the kitchen, I suddenly experienced something that I'd never, ever felt before. It was as though I was full of light, as though it was like there was this entity that was just there, just
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And it didn't say anything. It wasn't an apparition. I didn't see the holy, I just knew it wasn't just about me anymore,
That's amazing. Yeah.
and that for the rest of my life, it would be perfect.
Wow.
And things happen, of course they
Mhm.
do. But
Yeah.
even when the most harshest of things have happened in my life, I've just
That's
smiled.
incredible. Yeah, no, that is it. You're on a mission, aren't you? And that was your divine moment, your epiphany, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Epiphany. And what's epiphany? That's your pineal gland. It's called your epiphanous gland. And it was the first time I was, waking up and enlightenment are actually two different things. They can be part of the same journey, but they are different. I talk about this a lot on my channel. Being enlightened is when you reach the point in your life where you understand that your body is a biochemical mechanism.
Yeah.
And that you tune into the divine, to the bigger energy through your pituitary and your pineal gland, and therefore you have to live in a certain way, otherwise they don't work. They simply don't work. It's like when someone's like, I smoke a lot of weed because I'm spirit. It's like, no, you can't poison yourself and connect to the, smoke weed if you want, that's fine. We've all done a lot of that, but that's not the way it works. What that does is it kills your the functioning of your endocrine glands. So
On
yeah,
that, just a quick side note. Before we started filming, we were talking about how I had a situation a couple of years ago which changed my career. And I thought to myself, I can't go back to an environment where it's all corporate and blah, blah, blah. Can you, in terms of an enlightenment and having this epiphany, etc., we're just talking about, can the two run at the same time as each other? Can you go to your office job Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, working with people you hate, blah, 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 while still having this experience? What do you reckon?
Fundamentally, yes. Because when you're enlightened, you can live in a cardboard box, on the high street, and it makes, I wouldn't say it's going to be pleasant, and it's obviously easier to do it in the comfort of your own home. But so technically, yes, but what you would do is you wouldn't work with people that you didn't want to, because you know that so long as you tune into the divine energy, everything's going to be all right, and that the universe provides for you.
Yes, that's a good answer. And that actually takes me on to my next bit. I know I mentioned it briefly at the beginning, about when you interviewed Robbie Williams. And that's when I first came across you, and it was fascinating what he had to say. But I guess that's a similar kind of situation. Like, can you know how the world works whilst working within the belly of the beast, I guess?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. This is the energy working for me, Charlotte, right? So off the back of me deciding those three things: heal the past, be grateful, take action, I've now lived, worked, and traveled in 86 countries across all 7 continents. I'm a qualified pilot, skydiver, advanced scuba diver. I've explored the Antarctic polar circle. I've run across the Sahara Desert. This year, I rowed across the Atlantic Ocean in a 21-foot rowing boat. In April,
Madman.
yeah, in April, I'm going to summit or begin my summit of Mount Everest. I've worked with street children in post-war Mozambique. I've written 6 books now. One of them was an international bestseller. I was awarded English Veteran of the Year for inspiration. So when you think how many millions of veterans out there, to come from what I came from to that point, and I've manifested of it all myself, kind of tells you this works. And
yes,
as a byproduct, Rob messaged me one day just to thank me, you know, for what I do. And I said, no problem. Do you want to come on the show? And he said, yeah.
hey,
He said, now. So I looked at my girlfriend. I said, honey, can you put the kettle on? Like, why? I said, can you make us a cup of tea? I'm going to do a podcast with Robbie. She said, oh, can't you tell him to wait and do it tomorrow? Yeah, so yeah, Rob came on the show, and it was funny when I did that show, Charlotte. I hadn't been like Mr. Conspiracy for a couple of years because you get sick of all that shit. Yeah, eventually,
course, yeah.
at some point, you just got to live your life, haven't you? You know what I mean? So all the stuff about 9/11 and the you know, occult Hollywood and music industry, all of that, it just wasn't in my mind. So I was kind of really struggling to remember all. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
I was really struggling to, and I mean, I didn't want to grill Rob.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I've got a pop sensation here, or rock sensation, whatever Robbie would describe himself as. And, you know, I got a chance to ask him these questions. And yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, no, it fascinates me. I used to be a massive Robbie Williams fan. Well, still am in a way. I went to see him a couple of times and all the rest of it. So when he popped up, especially in the height of everything that was going on at the time. Oh, you're wearing the same T-shirt as well, aren't you?
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, I just found it fascinating. And then, you know, he's doing ever so well since then, isn't he? I watched his biography film with the monkey recently. That was really entertaining, and he's going on tour again. And so he's still. I just find it. I'd love you to do a part 3, like if he came back and you could still talk about how the world is from his angle. Because I think even Howard Donald off of Take That, I think he's of that mindset too. I think he got he put a few spicy tweets during the scamdemic, and he got chased off.
Yeah, I'll chat with Robbie again. I think it's hard though, because you know, the music industry serves a purpose, doesn't it? You know, it serves a purpose, and when you see it for what it is, you know, I get it, Charlotte. You know, I get why you'd be in it. I get who they pick to be in it, because there's hundreds of thousands of incredibly talented people out there, way more talented than I will ever be. And so when the record company, you know, who are all I would describe as owned by the merchant cabal, when they've got the cream of the crop from to recruit from, it's what are you prepared to do if we take you on, and what are you prepared to do to keep your record contract for next year? That's why you see these celebrities come out and do these stupid adverts for the old Mickey Mouse procedure, you know, and you're just like, oh, why did you do that? Well, it's if I don't do it, I'm not going to get the contract next year, and I'll be a has-been. And my whole life has been about playing to an adoring crowd, or you know, acting and being a blockbuster at the thing. So it's like
it comes with caveats, doesn't it? Just,
we're all victims in you know, a lot of people go off at the celebrities but it's, you know, you can argue even like Puff, he was, you know,
I think on that, and you probably agree with me, and I might even seen you say this, that they've promised riches and fame and whatever sordid activities they want to take part in, as long as they know they're still a character and they could be killed off at any moment or exploited or made to look like they're the worst person in the world, but they know that, they just don't know when the time is going to be.
Well, they call it public humiliation, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, when your time comes, you're publicly humiliated, and he seemed to have it quite extreme.
Yeah. As the many others that you could compare him to, or Kelly, and yeah.
The thing I was getting at, Charlotte, sorry, is I'm a great believer in, you've got to understand people's histories. And when I watched that documentary that's on at the moment, like, there was just this vague mention of this gangster-like father who was the wrong role model, and he wasn't even there as a role model, from what I can understand. If he got himself killed or he just like buggered off, well, that has a massive. I told you my you know, part of my story. It has a massive effect. I'm not trying to justify all the abuses that you know that he was alleged to have done or did do. I'm just saying that you've got to see that people like that then become rich pickings, don't they, for people that want to abuse them further.
Yes.
You know, so
yeah, so a victim as well as the perpetrator type thing.
Yeah. exactly. And well, yeah.
So in terms of that and what P. Diddy, for example, was up to, who do you think it was on behalf of?
Well, what they do in their celebrity cesspit, and I'm not tying in every celebrity into that. I'm sure a lot of them just want to get on with their lives. But when you, here's a fascinating thing. There's a certain film coming out at the moment. I'm not going to name the name because I don't want to point the finger at any particular director, but I think people can probably work out the one I'm referring to. And he, you know, put it this way: if you're like me, if you're scared, still at 56, I'm scared to get in the bath in case there's a shark in it. you know the chap I'm referring to, right?
I don't know.
Okay, Steven Spielberg.
Oh, right, is there? I don't know. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So
yes,
there's a code that's used, and it's to symbolize between abusers who like certain small people.
Yes,
you
mean
get
like the whole FBI triangles and.
I think our friend Sean Atwood refers to them as PDF files.
Yes.
And yes, the FBI outed the symbolism, didn't they? About 10 years ago now. They said, right, this sign refers to a lover, this pizza. Well, there's a code. I talked about this on my channel yesterday. There's a code that they use, and it's absolutely fascinating. And when you now see films, you can never see them in the same light again, because you think, oh, this is a entertainment for all the fat. No, it's them signaling that adult there that's with that young'un, and they're stood over there by a certain feature, that's them, you know,
signaling,
salivating over the power that they've got. And then you look at actors, you know, we're always kind of brought up to think that actors are these dead cool people and they got this skills. And I'm not saying they're not incredibly talented. Of course they are. You know, Jim Carrey, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Multi.
Another tortured soul.
Yeah. But when you see the function that they're really playing, it's nothing to do with entertaining you. It's all a slow indoctrination. So if to reduce it to its basics, music industry is to get you to buy into your ego self. This is all your, oh, she left me on a Wednesday and she went off with my best mate on a Friday. And then, you know, she stole my house on a Sunday and no one's ever gonna love me. You know,
Yeah.
how many songs like that have we heard over, you know, these soppy love songs that literally indoctrinate people, into feeling that we're all losers in love and no one's ever going to want to love us. And everyone feels, you know, I think we all have been affected by that.
Yeah.
And secondly, what's it doing? It's not talking about that love I accessed.
Mm-hmm.
That you, when you overcome this material body, when you quieten your mind, when you start to live a humble, frugal lifestyle and make, you know, a bit of gentle exercise, it could be dietary changes, whatever it is, that your body's biochemistry physically changes and you start resonating on a different frequency and life changes for you because you realize you were always love, because love is the highest form of, you know, the highest form of manifestation, and that we are all the manifestation of the divine. We're just experiencing it separately in these, you know, what they refer to as meat suits. So
what you just said, though, really quickly about the songs and the programming, the subliminal, this just completely off the cuff. But I was listening to. Do you remember the now? That's what I call music albums. I had a Now 38 album on the other day, and somebody pointed out to me there's 3 songs right at the bottom of one of the CDs, all to do with I'm lonely, something loneliness. The third one had lonely in it as well. I was like, that is remarkable.
That's it. What they should be teaching people. Do you remember the I don't know how much you remember the dance era.
Yeah.
You know, what was that music? Totally different. House music, uplifting.
Euphoric.
Always says we are one. We are one because there's one energy. You know, we shall, you know, whatever it is, we shall. It's so uplifting. It's why I love listening to it when I'm out running. And of course, what did they do? They outlawed it. They shut the clubs down and made it illegal to have more than 30 people meeting in the nature, which is now like 8 people or something. And the film industry is the same. It's not teaching our beautiful young people who deserve the best from us that you're born beautiful. You are a manifestation of the divine. You don't need to change nothing. You don't need false this, you know, steroids, what no, you just got to be yourself. And instead they're selling them. Hollywood's focus has been to sell them on the hero story. And that is, hey, I'm a loser, no one ever gonna look up to me, and suddenly I get this big challenge in my life. I'm on an aeroplane and it's attacked by terrorists and I've got to kill them all, or I've got to like win a rugby match for a new South Africa, or I got to climb a mount, you know. And the protagonist, he achieves this big thing, and then he gets the love that we've all been indoctrinated to feel that we haven't got. So it's a clever system, you know. It's a clever system.
Yeah, no, it really is. And just the word there, like indoctrination, and it's, you know, forms in many things, from schools to from everything, every walk of life. Who is committing that indoctrination? I've got a video to show you because you'll have seen it before, but just going back to, I guess, 2016, which is when you said about the FBI paedophile symbols being exposed and all the rest of it. Is when I first started on this journey of whatever this is, seeing how the world in a different light and blah, blah, blah. So this video is of Bohemian Grove. So have you seen the Bohemian Grove video? Do you know what Bohemian Grove is?
Yes.
Yeah, so for people who haven't seen it before, so this is a place in California, which Alex Jones, I believe, went undercover to do some filming of what actually takes place there. It's like a ritual ceremony. Politicians and all notable people from all over the world gather there every year. I think it's called the cremation of care ceremony. And I watched that 10 years ago and thought, you've got US presidents who've been there over the years. What are they actually doing? What do they believe that they're not telling everybody about? So if these people are running the world and they go to things like this in the most satanic way, would you call it satanic? Like that kind of?
Well, it's basically Baal worship. So
Yeah.
Baal being the Old Testament, one of the Old Testament gods that. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I can skip through it, but. They're worshipping Moloch, aren't they?
Yes, Moloch the owl. And Moloch is I think they're all kind of versions of the Canaanite god Baal. I don't know how many of these individuals know what they're doing there, or how genuine. Do you know what I mean? It's
This is. I remember watching this and thinking, God, this demonic. Is this the sound?
Yeah, well, it's just bizarre, isn't it, that this goes on, and yet in these individuals, they do all of this in secret.
Yes.
That's the weird thing. Even if it's harmless or whatever, which
I can't. There's got to be something in it. I think I remember watching as well videos at the time when YouTube was freer and used to recommend videos based on what you just watched. Alex Jones and the like. I think Luke Radowski from We Are Change going up to politicians saying, "What were you doing at Bohemian Grove?" or "What goes on?" and they just panic and run off. Essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. So I guess, Chris, just reading I brought that up because it all circles back. Everything that's going on in the world, the manipulation, the government psyops, false flags, it's all being orchestrated by these kind of people, isn't it? Like they're changing humanity. We know what road we're going down. I don't mean to get all serious and scary, but
No, it's a good point. It's it's not confusing. What's the word? It's complicated. It's a complex web of control and deceit. The framework of it all obviously goes back to ancient Babylon and possibly even more. The players, it's hard to sort of put your finger on historically how they've come through the ages, but undoubtedly what we're seeing is at some point in the scripture, and this is an enlightenment thing again, is it's allegory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a code. It came from a time where how can you say, you couldn't teach people enlightenment because you'd be put to death, because these people are all religious fundamentalists and they use that as their control. The leaders used it as their control mechanism. They didn't want someone like me coming around saying, do you know what? God's actually inside you. That's the whole point. That's why, in the story of Jesus, it says the kingdom of God is within you. He didn't say it's like without. He didn't say it's a place you go after you die. He said it's within you. And the last thing that powers that be over the years would want is people teaching that to people. So what they did is they turned it into an esoteric code and they put it into things called scriptures. So, for example, when you read the word fish in scripture, it's not talking about fish that you eat. That's just the story. It's talking about wisdom. Fish represents wisdom. And when it says sit at the right hand side of God, it's talking about accessing the right hemisphere of your brain, which is a byproduct of the enlightenment journey. When it talks about entering the land of milk and honey, it's talking about serotonin and DMT. So incredibly clever story with this code embedded in it. So at some point in history, some, let's call them chancers, have come out probably from somewhere off the Russian steppe or modern day Turkey and gone, hey, do you know those special people like in that book, like we're them? We have like a load of privileges. And by the way, no one's allowed to criticize us. And as a result, we're in the absolute, am I right to swear or should I?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And it's some things you can't sum up without swearing, but that's why we're in the clusterfuck that we're in now. Is everyone throughout history's taken their eye off the ball. They've been indoctrinated to believe that God is outside you. It's something that you worship, where it's not. It's something that you manifest within. Jesus is the pineal gland in the New Testament. Moses was the pineal gland in the Old Testament.
Wow.
Leading people from Egypt. Egypt just represents bondage to this material realm. You know, don't matter how many Ferraris you get, Charlotte. If you're unhappy, you're going to be unhappy. That's why there's so many rich people die of drug overdoses. And so Moses is the pineal gland leading the Israelites, which you can think of as the enlightened thought, whereas Gentile means unenlightened thought. So if you wake up tomorrow morning and go, right, I'm going to go running around the block and I'm going to have a salad for lunch. Enlightened thought, that's your Israelite thinking. If you're like, right, no, sod it, I'm going to go and punch someone and steal from an old lady, not helpful. You're not going to enter the kingdom of God. You know, that it is just literally not how it works. That's represented in scripture as the word Gentile, right? You cross water, so your consciousness is earth, water, air, fire, ether. Ether being as above, earth, that's your carbon, your 666, as above, so below. So this is just your ascension into spiritual consciousness. It's about your journey. So if you get to water, you're talking about elevating your consciousness. So if Moses, your pineal gland, is leading you, the enlightened person, across the Red Sea. Red stands for your emotional body, which you've got to get a control of if you want to walk the enlightened path, because you can't be letting your emotions control you. They'll get it wrong every time. And water, as I said, elevated consciousness. As a result, you spend 40 years in the wilderness. 40 is a time of it's like your dark night of the soul, your time of reckoning, like what I had when I was trying to get off these drugs, all this reflection, this thinking, this, internal kind of examination, and the wilderness, that's your chaotic thought. And when you come through that, you enter the promised land, which is, like I say, milk and honey, which is serotonin, represents serotonin and DMT. It's just getting to a blissful state. The Buddhists call it nirvana. That's that. So at some point, I feel we've kind of been hoodwinked. I think a certain state has been created off the fact that no one knows what this scripture actually really, really means and how valuable it is to all of us. And what am I saying?
We have been hoodwinked in
Yeah.
many areas, haven't we? And we still
Yeah.
are being hoodwinked.
Well, yeah, because you've got this group of individuals, like I say, and David knows this very well because I
Yes.
chatted with David about it. They came from the Turkic region or Khazaria, which is modern day Ukraine. They laid claim to a religion just to sort of keep everybody happy, and you know, probably never ever been near any country, any region in the Middle East, and to this day, we're all being played, Charlotte, and we're all being gaslit. And they're so clever; they set it up so well that you're not even allowed to, you know, they've tried to make it that you're not allowed to criticize them.
It is incredible.
They obviously hide. It's a funny one. They've controlled mass swathes of people through getting them into a victim narrative. So Judaism, for example, it's a whole victim narrative. You've got
inversion of what it actually is as well half of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, in inversion. So yeah, all of these Abrahamic faiths, the scripture behind them is enlightenment. But the religious clerics and the Pharisees and the vicars and like they didn't want people knowing this stuff because it makes them redundant and more powerful than them.
Yeah.
It means you don't need kings and queens because you wake up every day in paradise. So then this is why the Roman Empire got together and thought, right, how can we kind of, nip this one in the bud? Oh, I'll tell you what, let's give them a nice little story about a guy called JC. Yeah. Right. This guy's going around doing these mental miracles that none of it makes sense. And there's people getting pregnant that have never had sex. And, don't worry about the minutiae, to start, the loose ends. You just chuck it out there. And I mean, no disrespect to Christians, Charlotte, if that's people's thing, everyone's free to do what they like. But I would say the beauty comes in when you realize Jesus didn't come here to tell you how awesome he was. He came here to show you how awesome you are. And you won't manifest that in a church. You'll go and sing some lovely songs, have a sip of wine or whatever it is people do. But when you go home, guess what? You're just that same lost person that before you went. What Jesus came is to stop you being that lost person, to instill. Again, I'm talking about someone that was an allegory, but if you really want to believe, in the Yeshua or Yahshua, then honor the guy. He never told you to go and build loads of churches and all this kind of stuff. He came to emancipate you from mental slavery, and the answers are all in that book. But you won't get it if you read it like a history book or a geography book. It's we talk about people being asleep. It's the same principle, Charlotte.
Yeah. I've listened to David. Well, David's latest book. I don't know if you've had a chance to get a copy yet. The Road Trip. And before we sent it to print, he said, when this book comes out, I'll be banned from every synagogue, every church, every mosque in the world, because it really goes down on how it all came about and why. So just a quick plug there. We've not got long, sadly, and I want to do a second part one if you'd be happy to one day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I'm really your YouTube channel. You've got nearly 100,000 subscribers now, have you?
Yeah, nearly. We've been.
And you're saying that we did have a little chat about people tend to be drawn to your content on conspiracies, what are false flags, government psyops, and there's been that many going on this year alone. Never mind of all time. And the people who we were just talking about, highly responsible for them, likely too. Look at this guy, for example. This guy was in the Bondi Beach massacre as well as October the 7th.
Yeah. And it's not right, Charlotte. I did a show on this the other day. All this guy ever does, he's basically an agent for the narrative. And I use that word specifically, the narrative, not the history or the reality of what went on in that region over the years. His role is to support the narrative. Narrative is words, not people and their actions and their histories. And he even says this in one of his speeches, you know, we lost control of the narrative. And all I'd say to anyone in Judaism is by supporting Zionism, just fundamentally for I'm struggling for my words today, Charlotte. Sorry, but you know, just going out and out to support Zionism because you think this isn't helping you. By whenever you get criticism calling people a racist, it's not working anymore. No one cares about that now because all the world's leading critical thinkers have all been called anti-Semitic by you. David, for example, how many times on his Wikipedia page, it clearly shows you're trying to stifle any dissent and anyone that knows what's going on. And when you start going down this road, Charlotte, you uncover the extent that we've been lied to hugely. The truth doesn't need laws made to protect it. The truth is the truth. If the truth's the truth will come out. And
not a version of the truth either.
Yeah, not a version of the truth that as soon as you scrape below the surface, it just all falls down.
It's interesting that you say about the controlling of the narrative thing, because I think they've always controlled the narrative. And also in recent weeks, Larry Ellison, who's an ultra Zionist, has purchased TikTok. In fact, if you open TikTok and put David Icke's name in there, nothing comes up at all now since he bought it, since Larry Ellison took it over.
One thing I tell you is that they're losing control of the narrative, Charlotte. You remember what I said about the well-being?
Yes.
You know, and all the, you know.
That you and me.
That's not me.
That's me. That's weird. YouTube just came on. Anyway.
Yeah. I'd encourage anybody, when you've got your Facebook up and they're absolutely bombarding you with these propaganda adverts to go and get the Mickey Mouse poison, right? And I mean, all of that stuff is all of it, right? It's based on a fiction. You physically, other people cannot affect your well-being unless they kick you in the face or something, right? This scientifically is the truth. It cannot be disproved. The narrative we're taught as kids is, oh, I caught this off Dave down the shop, you know, all that, right? That's just bogus snake oil nonsense, right? And people are realizing this now. If you go on those adverts where I think the Daily Mail are running, like they seem to be run like hundreds a day. They've got some puppet politician with their sleeve rolled up, and they're going, "Hey, make sure you all go out and do the." Look at the emojis. There are thousands of people laughing, saying, "We're never going to ever do that to our bodies ever again, and we're never going to wear the utter nonsense because other people cannot affect you." The reason our well-being suffers is our terrain. It's our body's terrain. It's how we look after ourselves. And the biggest culprit is carbohydrate, because it's high on the glycemic index, which is glucose. Glucose is a sugar, so it's highly toxic in the body. It's highly acidic. And your cells, when you subject them to pie and chips every day, pasta and chips, chips and potato, like all of us, you know, English and the wider nation do, or the Chinese is rice over there, there's noodles in the rest of Asia, right? It's this massive bulk of carbohydrate. Your cells cannot function anymore. They physically can't talk to your DNA because it needs the right pH balance in the cell for these signals to go and say, hey, you need to replicate like this, because, you know, And what that happens is that's called a tumor. When they can't talk, they start malfunctioning. And we all know what tumors are, right? So your body in its infinite wisdom goes, hey, I got to detox you, all 30 trillion cells at the same time. And you go, and you get very hot, and then you get very cold, and then all this shit comes out of you. And it's Mother Nature saving your life. It's not Dave down at the petrol station, or Steve in the pub, or Sally who I sat next to at work the other day. And people are getting it now, Charlotte. And I tell you what, I'd ask anyone listening that's like, oh, no, because, you know, my friend came around the other day and he had it and then I got it. It's like, no, is your friend came around the other day, and because we're tribal creatures, your DNA is talking to his when he's in the room with you. You don't even realize it. And if he needs a detox, most likely because you're in the same tribe that you do too. That's how, you know, this is all the stuff that's been hidden from us. So to anyone listening, you know, just hold off. Do what we've all done. Go out and
take off your mask.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Imagine doing that to the children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's your legacy. That's your legacy, as you fought for the global cabal against the children because you were too scared to say, nah, I ain't doing it, you know? And what happens if you say, nah, I ain't doing it? Nothing. We all did it during the scam.
Yeah. I remember you led, didn't you, the veterans at one of the protests in London.
Yeah. The Global Veterans Alliance. There was also a lot of other veterans who stepped up to the plate. Not as many as we like, obviously, because people, you know, weren't as worldly wise back then. But it, you know, I'd walk into a supermarket and there's 200 shoppers in there, all miserable as sin, wearing their underpants on their face. And you know that I don't even know what to say, but
I know. It's happening again.
You know that the divine energy is with you, Charlotte. When you walk through the same shop and you're just smiling your ass off, hey, you know, and you're not absolutely terrified, and you know that not one of these people here can affect me in any way whatsoever. They just cannot. Fact, right? That's a fact, and it's worth learning this stuff because, you know, if you don't learn it, you're going to die younger from a horrible illness. That's
some people just, you can show them things and everything that you've learned until you're blue in the face, and they still can't. It's physically impossible for everybody to be on the same page, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm only saying this now because I'm going to bring down the cabal. That's just, do you know what I mean? I'm not just me, all those beautiful people watching now who are doing likewise, but they did something on my watch that, you know, I don't live in like hatred or anything, Charlotte, but, you know, I'm bringing you down for that. They hurt someone that I really love, and there's no, you don't have to guess how they hurt them. They actually fought 4 people now.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, right? There's so many more people waking up to this. If you really want to bring them down, the medical narrative is the easiest way to do it. Once we stop spreading this utter superstitious nonsense that other people affect your how? It's like you wake up, you drink a bucket of toxic coffee, you then have a bowl full of refined carbohydrate like porridge oats. Mm-hmm. You put fruit on top, fructose, sugar. Then you put dairy on it, dairy for a baby cow, and you shove that down. No sooner has that just reached your stomach that you're at work having another bucket of coffee. Going out for your Kentucky Fried Chicken lunch, or picking up your big carbohydrate sandwich. You come back, you have another huge helping. Your plate is covered in carbohydrate, and then you wash that down with a bottle or 2 of wine. And when your cells go, we can't deal with this anymore. We physically can't. You are going to die, right? And they detox you because that's Mother Nature's job. Guess what? I'm running out of examples now, but you know, you blame it down at that bloke at the car wash because he sneezed. You know, this is the ridiculousness of where we're at. And I tell you what, it's coming down shot and it's beautiful. It's that thing that everybody wanted when they were frustrated during the thing, going, why can't I wake up my family? Why can't, right? Eventually, they will become, they don't even have to become a minority. You've only got to get 30% of the people to go, that can't do that. No, it can't. And all the, say the masses will be looking like that and they'll go, oh, I've sort of got to follow what they say, haven't? Do you know? Because they
pilgrim experiment.
Yeah, they haven't got the faculty to make their own decisions. They will just look at what other people do. And if you want to bring down the cabal, that, you know, this is like the simplest inroad.
Let's do it, Chris. Let's bring down that cabal.
Yeah.
Right, well, sadly got to close up because time's ticking on and I've got to go.
No worries.
But I love listening to you. I love watching you.
Can I just give a shout out for my Everest fundraiser?
I was just going to say that to you. Yeah, go.
So here's how it is, right? I like to do a big adventure every year. So this year I rode across the Atlantic. Next year I'm going to summit Everest. And I always try to raise awareness of the veterans' mental health crisis that we have. We lose people all the time, Charlotte, to suicide, and it's unnecessary. And nobody, when it happens, ever makes the link between childhood trauma and rocky mental health. They just, in the veterans community, they just like accept it. Like it's this weird thing that veterans do, is take themselves off to the forest and hung themselves from a tree. My mate, I mean, I've got too many heartbreaking examples, but when I summit Everest, I'm going to be shouting this from the highest platform on the world, that we need to start considering things in terms of childhood makeup, childhood trauma, if we want to understand adult outcomes. It's not just stuff that happens in conflict, right? Stuff that happens in conflict can be exacerbated by your inability to cope with it all. So if people can help me with this message, I was on, you know, I've been on some shows and stuff talking about this. My GoFundMe is gofundme.com/challenge Everest. And yeah, that'd be awesome. It's a huge amount of money it's just, I found out today it's going to be even more, Charlotte. It's absolutely enormous. I'm going to have to borrow all of it because I don't have any money. So if people can chip in a $5, that'd be awesome. And all the rest, I'll obviously will donate to a respective charity.
One that we can trust.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. You know, this is another thing. We've got all these charities set up off the back of Afghanistan, and the problem is they're using the moniker like, you know, heroes and wounded and all this stuff, whereas most veterans never served in combat. And most veterans who were struggling mentally, they weren't like, you know, in a battle. They were kicked to shit as kids, or they had a dad that just didn't love them, or a dad was too, you know, like most dads, busy with his own job to give him a hug and all that kind of stuff. And what's happening is these individuals are getting into adulthood. They're struggling. They're hitting the bottle or the drugs, and the depression is spiraling. And they're going, well, look, I can't ask for help because I was never in combat. You know, I was never in a war, or like me, I served in the Northern Ireland conflict. It didn't affect me whatsoever, Charlotte, even when things were going, you know, were going pear-shaped, and they really did over there a few times. To me, that was just part of the job. And it, you know, I was an adult. That's what I signed up for, right? But as we've ascertained, that you know, the childhood stuff gets a lot deeper. So yeah, if anyone can help me with that, that'd be awesome. And if you want to come and visit me on YouTube, friends, just type in Chris Thrall into YouTube and I'll say Charlotte sent you, and I'll leave you a comment.
Oh, nice one, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, bought the T-shirt podcast. Go and join the community over there. Lots of them, and Chris is uncovering so much every day. I really enjoy watching him. So, Chris, it's been a pleasure. Come back soon, 'cause I've got loads still more to talk to you about.
Yes, thank you, Charlotte. Very kind of you.
Have a good Christmas.
Thank you.
See ya.